chapter 38. And yesterday would have done Shemot, Exodus chapter 37. And we watched Betzalel. He worked alone with an inspired heart, building the Aharon, the menorah, the shulchan, and other furnitures in the temple. One man, he was given a lot to do, and he actually happily took on that responsibility. He produced the most sacred furnishings in all of Israel's history. Now in Shemot 38, we step inside the courtyard of the Mishkan, the outer world where the bronze altar, the laver, and the surrounding structures are built. Something remarkable appears. A group of women whose mirrors became a basin of purification. Then the chapter shifts into something you might not expect from a building report. A full financial accounting, every talent of gold, every shekel of silver, every piece of bronze, all recorded. The Creator is not just building a dwelling place. He is showing Benei Yisrael how to be transparent, accountable, and trustworthy in his service. So we're going to read the first few verses. And I'm just excited to go to the part that, mentions about the women. The mirrors of the women who served at the entrance of the temple. And
good night,
my brother, thank you for joining. We're just about to talk about the women that.
And I'm just coming out of a meeting.
Okay, that's fine. All right, we're going to head straight into the reading. Shemot chapter 38, verses 1 to 7. And it says, and you have your tool with you?
Yeah, it depends on which tool you're at. But yes. 1 to 7?
Yes. Thank you.
Okay. Exodus 38, reading from verse 1 to 7.
Yes.
And he made the altar of burnt offering of shittim wood. 5 cubits was the length thereof, and 5 cubits the breadth thereof. It was 4 square, and 3 cubits the height thereof. And he made the horns thereof on the 4 corners of it. The horns thereof were of the same, and he overlaid it with brass. And he made all the vessels of the altar, the pots, the shovels, and the basins, and the flesh hook, and the fire pan, all vessels thereof made he of brass. And he made for the altar a brazen gate of network under compass thereof, beneath unto the midst of it. And he cast 4 rings for the 4 ends of the grate of brass, to be places for the staves. And he made the staves of shittim wood and overlaid them with brass. And he put the staves into the rings on the sides of the altar to bear it without. He made the altar hollow with board. End of verse 7.
Okay, thank you for reading that for us.
Specifications of measurements.
Exactly. We see that the bronze altar, most of the other things were made of acacia wood and laced with gold, covered with gold. But this one in particular was from bronze, or what we some persons call brass. Right, so
brass.
Remember who the builder was? Betzalel. He built the altar of burnt offering acacia wood, the same strong lizard wood used throughout the Mishkan. The dimensions were given. 4 horns were formed as one piece with the altar at its 4 corners, and all of it overlaid with bronze. The bronze vessels for the altar are also made pots, shovels, basins, forks, and fire pans. Then a bronze grating is placed under the ledge of the altar, extending halfway up. 4 rings are cast at the 4 corners. The poles themselves are made of acacia wood overlaid with bronze, as we have said. So we're seeing that the acacia wood is the base, and we're seeing that the poles are inserted, and that is inserted for movability. The altar traveled with Benei Israel, and so wherever they went, the place of sacrifice was with them, right? So we can note that the Creator's redemptive work, it is not stationary, it's always on the go. Right, it's portable. That's correct. There's a question here. What is the spiritual significance of the altar being portable, though? Carried on poles wherever the camp moved.
Because they weren't stationary, they were moving from point to point. So
right.
it was necessary for them to have seen wherever they were.
And then that's right. And they were promised to be taken somewhere as well. Right. And the traveling, is actually suggesting that, they're actually obeying the instructions to move forward, right? And they're actually drawing near with the Creator because the Creator was actually moving with them. And in life, set apartness, or what we call holiness, it's a journey, It's not a one static point that you end up and you're always holy or you're always set apart. It's not a fixed
adjustment. It can be seen as weird too.
Well, in some settings, you might be seen that, maybe you're religious nut or something, some zealot, or, for want of a better word, someone gone crazy. But what really matters is that we focus on the instructions that are given to us. They were given to us for life, right? So Deuteronomy tells you that, you can choose which way you want to go, and we choose the way of life. Right, so verse 8 is a very critical verse, and that I just want you to read it by itself.
Okay. Exodus 38, verse 8. And he made the laver of brass, and the foot of it of brass, of the woman assembling, which assembled at the door of the tabernacle of the congregation. Let me read it again.
Yes, please.
Verse 8. And he made the laver of brass, and the foot of it of brass, of the looking glasses of the women assembling, which assembled at the door of the tabernacle of the congregation.
Thank you. So it's the bronze laver.
What is the looking glass of the women?
Well, it is what probably the thing that is most closest to them, the thing that they would spend most time with. The women, they use a glass to fix up themselves, and it's just a natural nature of man that when they fix up themselves, they are more attractive to us, right? And these are the mirrors of the serving women. But my issue when I read this first was, do we really need mirrors at the tabernacle? Wouldn't it be a form of distraction if they are there? Did they carry it to give to the service, or did they carry it so that break time they could just ensure that they are proper and looking cute?
Yeah.
Right.
Well, that would have been it.
We would love to hear from the
prepare themselves. Look good.
The purpose. What's the purpose of the mirror in the tent of appointment? Just want the softer perspective. Right, that would be good. But what we know that they gave their personal mirrors, right? And it was used to build the vessel of purification used by the priests for the set-apart service, right? We should know that these mirrors were not laced with gold like the others. They were just simple, personal, everyday items, and maybe that's all they had, or that's all they treasured. And so just to see that given, I want to look at it in a positive light, not a negative light. I want to say it represents the most intimate offering that they could give, and it was not wealth, right? But just giving what values much to them.
What would have been the significance of the looking glasses?
Well,
in the tabernacle. We still don't see the significance of sin.
Well, the thing is that what mattered is that they gave, right? And the fact that they're mentioned, enough respect for that. Their contribution was noted with care, I believe. I don't think it was an afterthought either. And the Creator would have seen their willingness and transformed that most personal item into the very vessel of priestly purification, right? So they're beautiful women, I suppose, and what they gave was not denied. It was redirected to a higher purpose, and I
So
like
in other
that.
words, there were no other significant item that belonged to the females than that as it is the looking glasses
At that particular time, right? And the Creator shows what the mirror that they gave. They gave, and the Creator gave the instruction that the mirror was specifically to be used to make the laver of purification. But remember, mirror is significant. It's symbolic. It shows who you are. And that thing, the laver of purification, basically it was something for washing.
Not internal but external.
External, that's right. So when the Creator gave that instruction, it's like a profound statement, right? Self-reflection, symbolically, mirror help you to self-reflect, maybe on the outer initially.
Okay, self-reflection.
Right, and it was used for something for cleansing. So that is very interesting. It became the basis where the priests prepare themselves for the Creator's presence, and that I think was intentional.
Yeah. I'd love to hear another perspective on it, though.
Well, maybe at the I'm sure they will chime in as soon as it is comfortable to do so. But we can read on. 9 to 20.
9. Okay.
Yeah.
Exodus 38, reading from
9 to 20.
From 9
to 20.
Verse 20. And he made the court on the south wall. The hanging of the court were of fine twin linen, 100 cubits. Their pillars were 20, and their brazen socket 20. The hooks of the pillar and their fillets were of silver. And for the north side, the hanging were 100 cubits. Their pillars were 20, and their sockets of brass 20. The hooks of the pillars and their fillets of silver. And for the west side were hanging of 50 cubits. Their pillars 10, and their socket 10. The hooks of their pillars and their fillets of silver. Sorry. And for the east side, eastward 50 cubits. The hanging of the one side of the gate were 15 cubits. Their pillars 3, and their sockets 3. And for the other side of the court gate, on this hand and that hand were hangings of 15 cubits. Their pillars 3, and their sockets 3. All the hangings of the court round about were of fine twin linen. And the sockets for the pillar were of brass. The hooks of the pillars and their fillets of silver, and the overlaying of their capillars of silver, and all the pillars of the court were fillets with silver. And the hanging of the gate of the court was needlework of blue and purple and scarlet and fine twin linen, and 20 cubits was the length, and the height and the breadth was 5 cubits, answerable to the hanging of the court. And their pillars were 4, and their sockets of brass 4, their hooks of silver, and the overlaying of their capillars and their fillets of silver. 20.
Thank you. So,
and all the pins
yes,
of the tabernacles of the court round about were of brass. And
okay.
that's 20.
So we're dealing, thank you. We're dealing with bronze now, brass, and we're paying attention to the courtyard surrounding the set apart establishment, right? So the courtyard surround the Mishkan, and it's now constructed. The hangings of the court are made of fine twisted linen, so as hangings, and it gave the dimensions sacred space before approaching the creator's presence. The screen at the gate, the gate matches the surrounding walls in height because the creator designs without gaps. So everything lined up perfectly. Every entry into the presence was intentional and equal in weight and carefully constructed. And of course, acacia wood remains the foundation of the courtyard structures, strength beneath beauty. So what we would note is that the dimensions were so exact, and why would it be so? Because he didn't want to leave out any loophole, and any professional engineer would want to have something done in a spectacular form. So the gate is not lower or easier to bypass than the walls, and there's one way in, and it is as significant as the boundary itself. So the creator was teaching Benei Yisrael that approaching him must be intentional, not casual nor accidental. What does the courtyard as an outer boundary teach us about the creator structures access to his presence? What do we know about boundary? Whenever there, it's not a good example, but for example, on a scene where there's an accident, right, it's cordoned off.
We call it sterile. That area is being preserved. You don't want not to disturb it and stuff like that. So
right. So it's a scene that must be investigated, and it must not be corrupted.
Yeah. Corrupt, right?
Right. Not tampered with. Right. So we see, and the creator, he actually put layers, of nearness. You have the courtyard, you have the holy place, you have the most holy place. So you have different sections that certain persons can pass, and certain persons
different dimensions
without credentials cannot pass.
Systematically.
Right. So, but it appears to be the start of an inward journey. So more and more you can go in. So people get access. So I don't believe that the creator shuts people out, but he designs a path for them to draw near, and it must be done in order, and for them to come closer to him. They can't just walk in straight without any checks and balances.
So is it fair to say that there? How should I put this now? I don't want to say they are not all equal. I don't want to say that, because it is the structure, in my opinion, is or reflect status. Like you have the have the laborer, and then you have the boss over the laborer.
Supervisor.
You have the laborer, then you have the supervisor, and then you have the boss. In a structured form. To me, that's how I see it. Because there are boundaries. For me, as long as there are boundaries that are set, it means that there's not I don't want to put it in words, because I know in the scripture. It's like we have instructions has to be given in order to proceed.
Yeah, and that allows for order.
Like that.
Yeah, it allows for order as well. So people want it. You go to a place for the first time, you don't mind usher coming and escorting you to where you really need to go, right, until you walk all over the place and wasting energy and time. Right. So those were important.
So you know what a capilla is?
Capilla. No, I've heard the name, but not sure what it means.
You're not sure either.
Okay. Right.
And also, I can see crocheting in this. I mean, you know,
Yeah.
well, which verse you did?
Well, we stopped at 20. We stopped at 20, so we.
No. I know that one. So
okay.
Which one we were discussing? Which verse? Because
okay.
But that's 17.
Okay, you're looking at 17.
The capilla, you understand, and needlework, as I know it, a crochet.
Right. Embroider, the work of embroider.
Through my old fashion, I call it crochet, but it's the same embroidery.
Right, we get a picture. And you're asking about the capilla. Well, if it's verse 17 you're referring to, my verse 17 actually says sockets for the columns. Right, so no,
below that, man, it says sockets or whatever and stuff, and it says that the overlaying of their capillas of silver.
Okay. Well, we'd have passed. Okay, the hooks of the columns and their bands were of silver. Okay, so it's bands. It is a synonymous word used there. So give us a better understanding. But if you look at verse 18, it spoke about the embroidery and it spoke about the measure and those fine, expensive colored material, blue and purple and scarlet. Right. Over time, I've been always encouraging women of Israel to utilize these colors in their designs.
I think that's something more good to support, The capilla.
Okay.
Support.
Understand.
Support.
Well, yes, because we also mentioned that there was nothing that was instructed that was not intentionally placed for so for the proper and perfection of the Mishkan. Right, when you see the 4 columns and the 4 sockets, so the numbers match up. Right, and it said the pegs. That's an important thing. We know what a peg is in verse 20 of a dwelling place. If that, when the wind blows one direction or changes direction, it allows it to remain firm on its basement. So that was very so that is what a lot of persons who would do construction would learn. So we can see that these things were mentioned from longer time than what is practiced now.
So can you explain the sockets? Like we know sockets is to plug in stuff. I mean, I'm just saying.
Yeah.
But back then, the term socket, what would it represent?
Well, the socket is, my understanding of socket is something you put something into.
Fine, right. But I'm saying back then they never have electricity.
Okay. Right. So
in island stuff, so I would want to know.
In our English,
what it represents back then.
Right. In our English sense, it's is what we largely understand. But right there, I believe it was something that for protection, right, and protection and covering, right, and for portability as well, because you're lifting something, you have to moving something all over. You have to have them firmly in place. So that would have been part of the support. That's the most I can say about it.
So I say the socket and the rings are same?
I don't know.
In terms of woodwork, a ball and a socket would be something at a joint where it can fit into it. If you look at woodwork.
For joining.
A socket would mean, yes, it's a joining.
Yes. Okay. Thank you for sister. So my sister knows some construction. Thank you for that. I wanted you to chime in when the mention of the mirror was, but I didn't get a feedback at that time. But
you still can refer to it. Can I ask her to share if she have any idea as to what the looking glass is for the woman?
No, actually, I had a question. The question was, did they bring it to look at themselves, or did they bring it to fix up themselves so that they could be more attractive to the men? Or was it all that they had?
I don't think it had anything to do with attraction, but you know that when you fit your clothing, you would want to know if everything is in place and you look properly groomed. So I don't think it was after. They were ministering unto to the men that were there and helping. You understand? So I guess it was for them to, not for the females themselves, but also for the men who were to adorn themselves properly to deal with the service of the tabernacle and to see if everything was in place with themselves. I guess that's
right, because there are so many things that can fall out of place, especially in a worship and a jolly, joyful setting. We understand. We appreciate that. Thank you. All right. 21. You could read from 21 to the end. 21 to 31.
Exodus 38, reading from 21. This is the sum of the tabernacle, even of the tabernacle of testimony, as it was counted according to the commandments of Moses, for the service of the Levites by the hand of Itamar, son of Aaron, the priest, and Betzalel, son of Uriah, son of Hur, of the tribe of Judah, made all that the Lord commanded Moses. And with him was Ahab, son of AsahxMusic, of the tribe of Dan, an engraver and the cunning workman of an embroiderer in blue and in purple and in scarlet and in fine linen. All the gold that was occupied for the work in all the works of the holy place, even the gold of the offering, was 29 talents and 730 shekels, after the shekels of the sanctuary. And the silver of them that were numbered of the congregation was 100 talents, and 1,760 shekels, after the shekel of the sanctuary. And Beka for every man that is half a shekel, after the shekel of the sanctuary, everyone that went to be numbered from 20 years old and upward, for 600,000 and 3,550 men. And of the 100 talents of silver were cast the socket of the sanctuary, and the socket of the veil, 100 sockets of the 100 talent, a talent for a socket. And of the 1,775 shekels, he made hooks for the pillar and overlaid their capital. This is a different one.
Yes.
Capital and fillets them. And the brass of the offering was 70 talents and 2,400 shekels. And therewith he made the socket to the door of the tabernacle of the congregation, and the brazen altar, and the brazen grate for it, and all the vessels of the altar, and the sockets of the court round about, and the sockets of the court gate, and all the pins of the tabernacle, and all the pins of the court round about. End of 38.
Okay, thank you very much. So we're seeing this part speaks to accountability or accounting for transparency. You know, on a big multi-million-dollar contract like this, you'd have many stakeholders involved. You'd have the owner, in that case probably would be Moshe, that would appear. Then you'd have then the developer now would be like Oholiab and Betzalel. Then you have below them you'd have the Levites, especially Itamar. He would be like the supervisor, and you'd have the workmen. So a lot of spending would have taken place, right? So we see the chapter shift in the full financial inventory. Every material that is used in the Mishkan was counted, it was recorded, and this accounting was done at Moshe's command, carried out by the Levites under Itamar, son of Aharon, the priest. Mishkan is called the dwelling place of testimony, right? And I think it was the verse, there was an earlier verse that we see the name mentioned twice. I think it was 21.
But you realize the tribe that is mentioned?
Right, the Levites at that point.
No, Judah and
right,
Dan.
It's 21. Oh yeah, that's the two guys, the senior engineers.
Yeah, Judah
right, yeah.
and Dan.
And they are opposite in terms of, popularity. Judah more popular. Dan is...
Dan are the craftsman, tribe of Dan, and them, this craftsmanship.
Right. And if you remember, Dan was the son of the handmaid, not of Leah and Rachel, but the sister wives of these sisters. Right. So nonetheless, still a son, but he wasn't like one of the main, top four children, Reuben, Simeon, Levi, Judah. Right. So the curator can use anyone he chooses to carry out his will. And it is he that actually gives the wisdom and the skill. These guys were just had the willing heart. And we kept reading that over and over. So in 21, we see these were the appointments of the dwelling place of the witness. So we see dwelling place mentioned twice. And I don't think it was mentioned accidentally. Because remember, after the sin of the golden calf, the Creator calling it testimony twice is a sign. The Creator's sons still wants to dwell with Israel. That is the main thing, a lot of persons think about the plan of mankind, is to get land, Israel, But the Creator's ultimate thing from day one is to dwell with mankind. He desires a relationship. That desire has not ended. And the Mishkan is actually living proof. So when we have persons today who try to isolate themselves and, try to, not to have relationship with others, then I cannot understand, especially, any deity that even persons, of certain religions that say that they keep themselves away from relationships. That is not.
How do you respond to separating yourself?
Well, set apart. Well, Israel is already set apart from all the other nations. The 7 days are also set apart. Lots of set apart goes on.
And that is simply saying don't mix.
Right, but the Creator Himself, He wants to dwell with Israel. Right, so we should want to dwell with Israel. So unless we cannot identify who are the people of Israel, and for me, it's the easiest way for me to find out who Israel is. If you find yourself having this burning desire to follow the commands of the Creator in its entirety, that's a sign of who truly Israel is, not color and status, and those things are the definition, right? So we have to always remember what's the purpose. It's that the Creator wants to dwell with us, right? Of course, we want us to make family and expand and get the land and all these external things, but it's about
that was
dwelling.
A promise. That was the promise from the outset.
Yeah, man. Land is a good thing, man.
Land of milk and honey.
We welcome that. We welcome that. Right. So we're seeing 22 now. Betzalel. It was he that got the command. The Creator commanded Betzalel. I always thought that the command actually went to Moshe, and Moshe would have given it to Betzalel. But at this point, it seems as if, it was.
Because the scepter will not leave from Judah.
Okay, well, that's but that is suggested as well, right? But Betzalel really know about construction than Moshe,
Can I say something here? Because
please.
Moses, it seems, has his office, but Betzalel is a craftsman, And think about when you buy stuff like a furniture, you buy like some furniture that you have to fit up, and it have its different partitions, and you know what goes where and what socket and all of that. And you see they number them and say this is part one, and it has that, and you see the bolts come different. Imagine that happening with this man building all these intricate parts for the tabernacle, and then they have to pull it down and put it back together each time they travel, right?
Yeah.
Remember, when we buy these furnitures, you know, they are folded and in a box and they come with instructions. I don't think Moses would have managed that. But Betzalel was
you're right.
fit for it.
Yeah, you're correct.
Why the task was given on to him.
Yeah,
there are certain logistics that he wouldn't get.
Portability. Yeah.
That's true.
Just
like the idea of making the furniture before you make the building. The contractor would tell you that the best thing to do is make the building first, right? And then you make the furniture afterwards, right? So, you know, Moshe had his skill and he was the overall, you know, head, but, you know, Betzalel, it says the creator commanded him, and this appears it was a direct thing, right? Who else was there? It keeps on mentioning Oholiab, his right-hand man. Normally, when a man is on the site, you have to have a right-hand man. You have to have a foreman on the site. Else, if you don't have that extra help, you'll be burnt out, and you just do not have order, right? And so it's good that teamwork is emphasized in this, and Oholiab is not excluded. He was, as you say, the engraver, designer. So he also had his distinctive skill. Right. We noticed that in Itamar too. It's the first time actually seeing his name mentioned in this construction business. I didn't know that he got a part of the contract too. But of course, he was the son of a priest, Aharon. And the priest has to give his son a job on the site. You know, look out for his family. Right? But it's set apart work, so they could not have used anybody. And he was the supervisor who would actually, you know, carry on the instructions and, you know, give every head of the families a part of the work to do. They were the actual custodians of the creators' dwellings, right? And we have seen that time and time again. The accounting detail now. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you realize that every step of the way where the, what should I call it now, the furnitures, I don't want to say furnitures, but the construction of all where the most I would have been, it always incorporate the gold, whether gold, silver, bronze, you name it.
Yeah, they're all precious elements, you know, but gold carry higher value.
They are good conductors of energy.
Okay. Good.
They are good conductors of energy.
Yeah, and so they had to measure these things because they're of so much value too. You know, they couldn't just say gold. They have to say 29 talents. Right. I'm just learning the word talent. Talent is actually the unit of measure for gold, and it seems to be among the highest value compared to, we hear about shekel, we hear about beka. What else we hear about? We hear about half a shekel. We hear about silver. Right. So what are these? 29 talents and 730 shekels. Right. We have 100 talents and 1,775 shekels. Then we have silver that was used again, 100 talents for casting, 100 sockets, bronze. So everything accounted up. So nobody can say anybody actually creaming off the money, you know, doing their own personal thing. Right? So that is good. Yeah. And well, these are trusted people that got the job to do. The Levites, they were specifically chosen to be responsible for the transmission of the Mishkan. I think which verse we actually mentioned that. I saw it somewhere where the Levites were mentioned, right? In addition to the amount of money, which I don't really fully we didn't really fully exhaust, right? So we see.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, I think it was 21. 21.
21.
Right, which was appointed by the mouth of Moshe for the service of the Levites, right? So yeah, that is good, and it's family, of course, but it was a family that was responsible, a family that was organized, and a family that was accountable.
And the significance of the blue and the purple and scarlet.
Well, I do not know if those colors match with the colors that we call those colors today, but over the dynasties and emperors that have ruled the world, they would have dressed much in purple and scarlet and those colors. So when you see pictures of those, those are the colors they wore. So they could be taking it from their own practice or from the children of Israel.
I want to say something on that because colors carries frequencies just like fabric, and those colors are very high in frequency, right? Red is a kind of lower vibrational color,
Yeah.
and orange, purple and blue and scarlet, they're of a higher frequency, just like wool, cotton, and linen, right? So I believe that those colors were used as along with the brass, because brass is a clean, it's very good, and it purifies stuff, and it is also, we used to, like for storing water or other stuff, it actually purifies the water, the brass, and there's another metal that is mentioned here as well. But they are very good for the high frequency, so everything is perfect.
All right. Well, we need to do that research to see if the blue that was mentioned is actually the blue that we actually wear today. Because I find myself liking to wear a lot of blue, so it would be good to know if that's the case. Right. But all these things were.
I'm glad your brother mentioned about royalties, because when you watch the old movies and you look at the vessels that they use from, you see the intricate designs and carvings, they look rich, fancy, rich.
Yeah. Yeah.
So they were looking really good, really good.
Indeed. All right. So this chapter really shows we're at the end of the chapter, and we see a lot, that talks about the faithful service of these men that were called and given the wisdom and the talent, and they were willing, right? And we saw what faithful service looks like in detail. Not to overlook the women who gave their mirrors, didn't give up their beauty. They redirected it to the service of the Creator. What was once used for self-reflection became the vessel where priests prepared to stand before the Creator. And that is a picture of what the Creator does with every willing offering. He takes the personal and makes it holy. Yes, sir.
What is the grate used for?
The what?
The grate, Grate.
Oh, we missed that. Could you refer to the verse and let us look at it?
Verse 30.
Okay.
30. And therewith he made the socket to the door for the tabernacle of the congregation, the brazen altar, and the brazen grate, not gate, but grate.
Grating.
Grate. What does say? Grate.
Okay. Verse 30.
Grate, not Great.
Okay. Right. So the other translations actually call it, all of the translations call it grating. The only closest word I know to it is actually greater. Right? The grater that we use, coconut.
Yeah,
but this is bronze grating. Right? And this is speaking about the entrance. Well, we know that there are holes to it.
Another definition for grate. A fireplace. Somewhere we wrote stuff on. The mesh thing that is a
I
green.
got you. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay,
I got
yeah.
yes,
So it's something
yes,
that
yes, yes.
could it be what the ashes strained through the ashes?
No, they put whatever on it. And do whatever. Maybe I find it this after well, you know.
Okay, okay. All right. So we exposed to new terms and unusual terms. So we have learned
Because
much. We have learned much
yeah, put,
today. Right. So as I said, we're at the end, and we see the accounting was full. Everything was balanced with the gold and the silver and the bronze. And so integrity is a big thing. You know, if you're doing a construction as for your house, you don't want anyone to work on that house, right? And you want somebody who not just special. Yeah, yes, you need specialists, and you need honest people because it's big money being spent, right? And you don't want any wastage. You want everything to be used towards, recorded and used the right way, the proper way. Right, and of course, the best persons for that job would have been the Levites. They stepped into that role, and they have been given that duty over generations to be custodians and transmitters of the Creator's dwelling place. Right, so in the midst of it all, the Mishkan, we see mentioned the dwelling place twice, and it's a declaration that the Creator really wants to be with us and wants to dwell with us. So that is something that we must rest in our heart, that the Creator still wants to dwell with each and every one. So we must make the effort to dwell with Him.